So starting off, feeling our feet on the ground, about hip width apart, getting a sense of where is it kind of making it easy and comfortable for my feet to be, to make my standing easy and comfortable. And you may have some other ways that you work with standing from your martial arts practice or your yoga practice, or any other postural practices you've done, like Feldenkrais or Alexander technique. And then it's helpful, once we've established where we want our feet to be, an awareness of the landscapes of our feet. So we can kind of move from side to side a bit and forwards and back a bit, so we can feel the heels and the two parts of the ball of the foot, which are really two balls of the front foot, the big toe and the little toe side. And by establishing awareness of that base, we can start to feel a bit more connected to the ground, and we might call that grounded, which is really a metaphor for feeling steady and kind of well supported. And then aware of the crown of the head, the other end of the body, moving up towards the sky. So there's a sense of effortlessly straightening up, keeping our shoulders relaxed. So straightening up is not about lifting the chest or exaggerating the lower back curve or anything. It's kind of very subtle. You can imagine the head as being quite light, or being very gently pulled up by an invisible thread towards the sky. And then softening the front of the body. In that we can include our gaze, so quite a soft gaze. You don't need to concentrate hard on the screen or anything. You can look sort of beyond the screen, into the space beyond the screen. You can always glance back if you're not sure what the verbal instruction is. And we can relax our tongue inside our mouth, which can help to release the jaw. Perhaps allow your lips to be slightly parted, if that feels natural. And then a little softness in the belly. And then we can bring the backs of the hands together in front of the midline, maybe quite low at the navel. It's quite nice. And check you've got space around you to make a big sort of sweeping arm circle without knocking anything over. And then we can start the breathing practice together by breathing out first, feeling the belly contract, and at the end of the exhale, breathing in, lifting the arms, and halfway pausing very briefly, turning the palms down, and then exhaling, completing the circle and coming back to the belly, the hands, and then inhaling again. Pause, exhale, centering the hands. And then once more, breathing in, up and out, and exhaling down. And then this time we can rest the right hand in the left in front of the belly. And notice our standing posture. And then we'll do a short body scan, and you may like to do it standing. If that feels too intense, you could sit down or lie down. So notice how your body is and what would feel kind of most helpful. Relax our arms if we're standing. And then you can take your gaze down to the ground or close your eyes. Might make you feel a bit wobbly to close them, so downward gaze is fine. Once again, being aware of your feet. Can you feel them? Can you feel your toes? Can you feel each individual toe? If not, noting that. If it's hard to distinguish between the toes or your feet kind of feel a bit indistinguishable, you know they're there but you can't feel them. Just noticing that. And then noticing your lower legs. And your knees. Your thighs. Your hips. Your legs end at your hips. And for a moment, imagine you have hollow legs, not in the sense of always being hungry, but sense that you could go back down inside the legs to the feet. And then coming back up on the inside, and it might be more of an imagining that we can do that. But knowing our body is not just the outer shell, not just the skin, muscles and bones. There's a kind of subtleness of the inner body, the inner space. We can sometimes get a glimpse of. And being aware of the pelvis, the hips either side and the centre of the pelvis, the pelvic structure. And as you breathe, perhaps an awareness of the inside of the pelvis, the inside of that bowl-shaped structure. Aware of the torso sitting on top of that, the spine at the back, the rib cage, left and right, the breastbone, the soft abdomen. And again, perhaps an awareness that the inside of the abdomen is kind of heavy and dense and lots of organs, fluids, digestive processes going on. And then the air-filled cavity of the chest, with the lungs breathing in and out. And the heart, the centre, slightly to the left, fairly central, behind the breastbone. Our little engine, but not just our little engine, also seat of emotions. And aware of the shoulders and the neck at the top and the arms hanging down, hands at the end, fingers, and sensing any detail you can in the fingers, sensations, fingertips. Seeing if you can be inside your hands in some sense and travel back up the inside of your forearms, elbows, upper arms, back into the shoulders, into the neck, sense of your throat, and then the head perched on top of the neck, the skull, the facial structure. Perhaps an awareness of the inside your head, the airways, sinuses, brain, inner ears. And then going all the way back down to the feet on the inside. So maybe imagining your body on the inside is like a spacious room, a body-shaped room. And you can go back down through that room, back down to the landscapes of the soles of your feet. And then we'll go into some movements of picking up one foot and then the other foot, allowing your body to respond to that movement. So it will probably sway a bit from side to side, your hips might move a bit, your waist might move a bit. And you might like to kind of exaggerate that a little bit so it becomes perhaps slightly dance-like. You could let your arms sway, so from that kind of very still mountain pose, we call it in yoga, standing or attentive standing, Wu Chi, Qigong, we go to flowing side to side. So mindfulness can give us this capacity to be still and calm, and also this capacity to go with the flow. If we're practicing being in the here and now, that's always changing. A moment doesn't even exist, it's just a nanosecond in the timeline, which is kind of artificial. So it's really just a string of moments strung together, so flowing through that. And again, if you've got space, you might like to make those movements a bit bigger. Notice how your body is. If your joints aren't ready for that, just keep it very small. And here, with kind of going with the flow, we might look to embody a sense of ease. A lot of mindfulness teachers talk about you can't control the waves of life. You know, there's a pandemic sweeping across the world. We haven't been able to stop it completely. We're trying to control it, but it's kind of an acknowledgement it's going to come and go in waves. But we can learn to surf the waves. So we find some kind of ease within those things we cannot control. And sometimes that becomes a bit chaotic. Sometimes the sea is chaotic. So we can do a little bit of sort of random shaking out. And that might be quite nice. You can turn around, you can walk around a bit. Just kind of unplanned, no particular rhythm. You might notice you're sort of doing a form, following some kind of form, and see if you can let that go. So to kind of be with that unpredictableness. It might feel quite nice because unpredictableness can also be exciting. So, are you someone who likes surprises or not? Lovely, and then we'll come back to just standing. Taking a moment to notice our body again and sweep our inner space from the landscape of the feet. Sweep it with our awareness, sweeping up and down to the hands and back down to the feet, and a sense of really noticing how we are inside and outside. And then choosing a meditation posture for the meditation part of the session with the longer meditation. So it'll be just over 10 minutes. Choosing a posture that works for you. So take a moment to get settled in that. And if you're doing this on the video, you could pause, get settled, and then press play again. So in our meditation postures, often stillness is emphasized, and being comfortable enough, and also sometimes needing to accept that we cannot always be 100% comfortable. If we have some painfulness in our body that we cannot change by changing our posture, then sitting with kind of a kindness and curiosity towards that can be helpful. And also giving ourselves permission to not be too rigid about the posture that we keep for meditation. It's kind of a bit of a choice sometimes. Sometimes we're just a bit fidgety, and then it might be good to encourage ourselves to kind of find stillness, to be still, to look at the nature of that fidgetiness inside. Can we perhaps breathe a bit more slowly and take our attention to the ground to help our kind of fidgetiness to settle? And other times it becomes very distracting. Maybe our knee starts to throb because we've been sitting cross-legged for longer than is good for our knee. And then in that case, please straighten your leg, change position. If you feel a kind of rigidity coming into your neck and shoulders or something like that, you can do some micro movements. So being aware of what happens during meditation, what we're doing with our bodies, and sometimes it might be wise to decide to move, and sometimes it might be wise to sit still with it. Only you can decide. And kindness and self-compassion at the center of those decisions and choices. So with that in mind, again, checking our body. Are we comfortable enough? And it can also be useful to know what attitude we bring to sitting. If we're sitting, you might be lying down. What attitude we're bringing to meditation, really. Are we sometimes a bit hard on ourselves, like a strict Zen master coming round with a stick? You will sit upright. Or do we not have that much discipline and we allow ourselves to check our phone halfway through because we're getting bored? Then maybe a bit more discipline is helpful. And then we can sense how gravity can help us to feel that sense of grounding again, the stability that earth, together with the weight of our body, provides. With a sense of lightness in the upper body. I like the idea of a light dignity in our posture. So that kind of dignity of being upright, or the dignity of lying down, perhaps being more healing. what's needed. Holding that lightly in our upper body, in our intention to be still and mindful and present. Notice if your attention is drawn to a particular area of your body. It might be where you can feel your breath, or it might be your warm, tingly hands. Or perhaps your attention is on something external, sound. Maybe your eyes are resting on something. All of these things can be a mindfulness support, the thing that tethers us to the present moment. So you can see which kind of anchor, tether would be coming to you quite naturally today, and it might be the one you practice a lot. So it might be your breathing. It might be a sensation in your body. It might be something that's drawing your attention anyway. And then once you've decided what your anchor will be, stay with that. It could also be an awareness of kind of the whole of the present moment, of you sitting here, breathing in this space where these sounds are and these colours are and this light and shadow in the room. And that's open awareness. You might practice that, or practice awareness of one particular thing in the body or outside of the body. Always with a sense of doing that from the body. If you're listening to a sound, seeing if you can have a felt sense of listening from your body, with your body. And if or when your attention wanders to somewhere else, bring it back very kindly, as if you're steering a small child gently away from the edge of the pavement, gently, kindly guiding yourself back to your mindfulness support. And then to set us up with an intention of mindfulness for today, I'll read a poem by Dana Folds, who's a yogini in America and often writes poetry about awareness or mindfulness or yoga. Here is a day, dawn to dark, a string of moments, small enough to ignore or notice, a stretch of time between awakening and sleep to be savoured or brushed aside in the rush to some distant destination. Here is a day, different from any other, with its own flavour to be tasted. The golden glow just before the sun rose held such promises as I knew must be kept. Knew beyond even the nagging whisper of doubt were true. That this very day, the whole perfection of the universe can be inhaled like the scent of fallen leaves. The heady fragrance of trees returning what was never theirs to keep. So that's Dana Folds from her book Go In and In, Poems from the Heart of Yoga. And then coming back to awareness of your body. If you had left it behind a little bit, maybe you're very present there. In any case, and notice how your body might want to move, maybe just coming out of the stillness very gently, maybe some of this wave-like movement, maybe a bit of shaking out, just whatever's needed, and go with that.